I mean, obviously, Eddie, the most obvious question is, what the hell just happened, and what do you think about it?
Fantastic. I mean, look, we got to always try and keep it a little lid on it, but it was like, I mean, listen, shout out to Richardson because he's talking that talk. George came in. Jim was probably a little bit more riled up than George, and I think George was like, look, talking's done, let's go, and Richardson stuck it on him. Then he got in his face, and George isn't the kind of guy where you can just step to him in his face. Sooner or later he's going to react. He got up, he went for him, and then in the meantime Lenny kind of come across, and Jim kind of, I don't have to watch it back.
Hit him with a mic.
Was it?
Yeah, hit him with a mic.
Yeah, and then for the whole press conference after that, I can hear Lenny and Jim going at it, right? And Lenny's saying, don't think this is over. And Jim's saying, yeah, you run at me, and I'm thinking, oh God. Anyway, and it was kind of all calm, and then Bill Haney popped up, right? And then Bill's talking that stuff, and then Bill's gone to Lenny, something like, again, I've got to go watch it back. And how do you feel, Lenny? You let Jim Kambosos slap you around the face like a, I don't know, bitch or whatever, what he's going to say. And he went, yeah, well, I'll tell you how I feel. And then picked up the metal. Like, if you go up there and feel those chairs, they're serious, like they're all metal. And I'm like, what? Jumped in, and luckily the security were there in hand. And listen, it was all, you know, it was all good fun in the end. But this is what's at stake on Saturday night. And this is what we want, high stakes. You know, the world 140-pound championship and a massive fight for both men's career.
Were you ever worried at any moment being in the middle of that?
No, only when Lenny picked up the chair, because then I realised this is getting a little bit spicy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's not. But to be honest, luckily I'm a big lump.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't fight, but I'm a big lump. So if it ever gets, especially, you know, obviously these guys they're not heavyweights. They're a little bit smaller, and I can just put myself in the middle, and if I get one, I'll get knocked clean out. But at least I can get in the middle. But then all of a sudden, Jim's a big lump, and then you've got it's coming from all angles. Do you know what I mean? So security done a great job, and that's the first time I've not done a face-to-face.
Yeah.
Apart from Derek Chisora against Dillian White, where he picked up a table and threw it at me, because that was the same thing where it was about to get out of control. Yeah. And I just chose, let's save that for the press conference tomorrow.
Any concern? We are in Brooklyn. Coach Lenny did not look like he was willing to let it go or will let it go. We have a face-to-face tomorrow and a fight on Saturday.
Listen, time is a great healer. Do you know what I mean? In the moment, I'm sure Lenny's thinking, I'm about to attack Jim outside on Penn Station. Everybody calm down, it's not worth it. Tempers and emotions are high because, one, on the Kambosos side, that's his son. And Jim's never going to behave normally when this kind of thing's going on, because it's his son. Jim's a little bit mad anyway. You wouldn't want to have a fight with him when it weren't his son. When it is his son, don't expect him to be completely normal. Lenny is also probably a little bit out there. You know, Richardson's almost like his son. So it becomes a little bit personal. But just deep breath, and let's get on with the job at hand on Saturday night.
Musa.
Is that what you're going to tell him tomorrow at the weigh-in? Because you don't want the fight ruined.
Yeah, but that's why I didn't do a head-to-head, because at that stage, like, you've got to get the timing right where people love that stuff, right? But we've also got to keep it as respectful as possible and understand that the sport is a sport built out of discipline and respect, and we're trying to teach kids that. So we can't have up there fight everyone just slapping each other, you know, because that's not what the sport's about. But that does much bigger numbers than thank you very much, I look forward to, wish you the best of luck for Saturday. Do you know what I mean? So it's a mixture between the two, knowing that the numbers from today are going to be huge, and that of course builds the excitement for Saturday night.
What do you think about the money, putting 50,000?
Yeah, like if you understand betting, George is right. Whether George has had a bet or not, I think he probably has.
He has.
Yeah, because it's 7-1. Or you guys say it a little bit different over here, but basically, if you bet George Kambosos with Bet Online, our partners, you get, I think, 6 or 7 to 1. So you put 50,000 on, you get 350 back. So why would you bet 50 for 50? Do you know what I mean? But you know, I understand the bravado of it all, but I think I think Richardson Hitchins is the favourite in the fight, but I think 7-1 is a huge price for George Kambosos, especially after what I've seen up there of two guys that are just, like, anything can happen in this fight. Richardson's the master boxer. He's got to keep his composure. But we saw what, this is like history repeating himself in terms of the build-up for this fight and Teo fight. I don't know if it's a tactic from George, but it's playing out the same way. And I'm sure he'll go with high spirits after that very entertaining press conference.
Do you think you got him out of character at all, or is just more?
Richardson? No, to be fair, I thought Richardson was kind of cool with it. He was. No, I'm up close with these guys. He wasn't shaking. He wasn't. He was pretty cool with it. But still, like, the trainer's now lost his mind, and like Teo's dad lost his mind. Do you know what I mean? So, and wait for the weigh-in tomorrow. We've got to get that out of the way first.
Do you think there any concern with Richard Hitchins making weight?
No.
Throughout the press, throughout the week, George Kambosos like, make sure you make weight.
No, he'll make weight. He's never missed weight. He's a professional. He'll be making weight.
Speaking of weight, speak about Keyshawn Davis missing weight and the whole situation. Just want to pick your brain on that situation.
Yeah, not my fighter. It's not a good look. I think that it's not just missing weight, it's the reaction to it and the behaviour after. Like, at that point, you've really got to put your arm around the fighter and say, listen, we need to do an interview. Let's tell people what happened. You've got to be disappointed here. You can't walk around with a smile on your face, laughing and joking. You've got all these paying customers. You've got a fight that's now not happened, and you've just lost your world championship. You should be devastated. You don't look devastated. And then you're laughing and joking, you're scoffing your face at the fight, and then you're having a fight backstage. Like, it just got worse and worse and worse. That's when you need the guidance of someone to say, this is the damage control that we're going to operate through now. But listen, everyone makes mistakes. He's a good young man, a good fighter, and I'm sure he'll be back.
I just want to get your thoughts on Turki. Put out a tweet recently saying basically he doesn't want fighters to run.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, look, I mean, boxing is it's a sweet science, it's hit and don't get hit. But it's also the entertainment business. You can't really say to a fighter, don't run, stand in the middle and trade and be exciting, because you're not the one in there fighting. But what he is he's paying the bill. Do you know what I mean? If you go to a restaurant, you want a great meal or you want a great performance. If you go to see an actor or a singer, you want to see that person give a great performance. What he's saying is, I'm paying you all this money, you better entertain the fans. It's a hard conversation to have, because ultimately it's handicapping certain fighters that don't necessarily fight like that. Why would you when you can win every round and you can do it so easily? But I think it's more, for me, it's more of a case of saying this: your style's your style. It's not for me as a promoter. I'm not going to change your style. All I'm telling you is, if you're not entertaining, you're not going to get the opportunities, you're not going to put bums on seats, and you're not going to drive viewership. So it's up to you. But there's been many fighters that, what I don't like is how fighters might change and become a little bit more cautious because they've got money and it becomes more of a business to them. Mayweather was a great example. Every fight that Mayweather had, he was just thinking to himself, I'm going to go in there, I'm going to box this guy's ear off, I'm not even going to get touched, and I'm going to walk away, I'm going to rob the bank, as he used to say. Yeah? And it becomes more of a business. Then you see other guys like Ben Eubank who go in there and fight all heart and give us one of the most epic fights you've ever seen. Do you know what I mean? But like, you imagine saying to Canelo, oh, the skull fight was a little bit boring. I need you to go in there and be more aggressive. You go, fuck off. I'll do what I do, thank you very much. But when called upon, they have the ability to go to war. And he might have to do it against Crawford. Do you know what I mean? But given the option, you've got all this money, you've got all this legacy, you can't say to a fighter, stop running around, stop, go, have a war. It's like, but they need to know that what works and what doesn't work for the customer. And I think every fighter knows that.
You spoke about Canelo and Crawford. Is Dana White involved? He makes some posts, but we don't...
Yeah, I believe he's like the promoter of... the promoter of the event is Turki Alalshikh. But every time there's an event, there will be a promoter that's given the responsibility to promote the fight, essentially, on behalf of Riyadh Season or Ring Magazine. And this one's Dana and TKO, which I think is great for the sport, great for the event. And and it's a great fight. Looking forward to it.
Eddie, could you really elaborate on how big of a make or break fight this is for both these guys, though? Because, you know, Richardson, I spoke to him yesterday, and he said, well, if he doesn't look dominant in this fight, a fight that people expect him to really outclass Kambosos, then it drops his stock. And then on Kambosos' side, you know, he's had a lot of chances. If he loses, this would be his fourth in his last six.
I think, look, for Richardson, I think this is a tough fight. Like, a lot of people are saying Richardson needs to go in and be exciting and dominate him. That's not going to be easy. I don't think there's any pressure on Kambosos, other than if he loses this fight, he either retires or goes and has another fight in Australia. That's it. Like we said, he's a 7-1 underdog. But Hitchins, if he wants to fight Haney, if he wants to fight Teo, he's got to go out there and look good on Saturday night. And I don't think it's that easy. Like, Kambosos is a rugged, experienced, tough man. And it won't be easy on Saturday, in my opinion. I know Richardson's a favourite, but this is his chance to make a statement, and this is George's chance to become a 2-division champion.
You mentioned Teo. Just what happened?